I would like to introduce this guest. First, Dr. Yasin Aydoğdu. Graduated from Ankara University Faculty of Law in 2012. In the same year, he continued his postgraduate education at Kırıkkale University Faculty of Law, where he entered as a research assistant. Afterwards, he completed there his master and doctorate degree. In addition to his doctorate degree in public law, he is still continuing his master's degree in the Department of Private Law at Ankara Bayezid University. He works on artificial intelligence and digital law. In addition to his academic career, he worked at the Turkish Personal Data Protection Authority between 2017 and 2019. According to him, in the struggle against disinformation, the legal measures and sanctions of the state are not sufficient. We need a more conscious use of internet and social media. Welcome, Yasin Aydoğdu.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
And the question is now, can sharing misinformation or fake news be considered with the scope of individuals' freedom of expression, which is in fact a kind of opinion or whatever, or do we have to consider it in a different way?
Yeah, thank you very much again. Firstly, I want to apologize to you and our guests and of course watchers on YouTube because my voice, I am a little illness and my throat maybe voice badly.
Geçmiş olsun.
Thank you very much. If I should answer your question, there are two different terminology in this topic, misinformation and disinformation, you know. Misinformation, I can describe this term like that, false information, but there is no to know and to want. They cannot control their aim. But in disinformation, there is a systematically attack for people to believe their fake news. Legal regulations do not protect disinformation, but misinformation can mean freedom of expression or freedom of press. And this is fundamental human rights and freedoms. Constitutional, international regulations protect this. I can say misinformation is generally we can see on websites, on social media, because this is a freedom, speech freedom, and everybody, every users can explain themselves on social media or internet websites, you know, your profession. But I am a lawyer and I can say if we publish misinformation sharings, it is non-democratic. Democracy may be damaged by this politic, but disinformation is a potential danger for public order.
I totally agree. No, but how can we judge it? Are there any legal basement which we can use to avoid misinformation? I talk about misinformation and not disinformation.
Yeah. Misinformation is not my expert area. Maybe Mr. Crespo can answer better than me. Of course, maybe not maybe. But I can answer your question. We can control the news source and we can call the official centers or we can write on the searching vehicles. If we use the internet awarenessly, I think misinformation is not a potential danger because people can use internet for control the news true or false. It is easy. But if we believe the news when we first time see, it is a problem. The problem sources from us, I think.
Okay.
It's important journalists and awareness people who are using internet.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And you said that you are expert for artificial intelligence and digital law.
Intelligence and digital law.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think how can you identify at that moment, or are there concepts to how to identify on the one hand side which kind of news are made by the public in relation of misinformations or disinformations, and which one are in fact nothing else but algorithms which are purposefully used to create fake news or disinformation?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. Firstly, I want to say the results are surprising for me because I think the most reliable source should be governments because the official truth
Why?
information, but in results, this is the minimal
Yeah.
percent. And answer to your question, yeah, I am studying artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence has been growing fastly, separately, and I can not control which level is the artificial intelligence came. For instance, the last 6 months, it has grown by ChatGPT, you heard, and Google Bank. But in our topic, in this topic, I can say, I can describe misinformation can be from artificial intelligence newspapers or websites because artificial intelligence learns by people who upload datas on internet, files, and of course images, videos. It doesn't matter. Everything can be uploaded on internet. And machine learning. Machine learning style can be learned to artificial intelligence false information. That means misinformation. Public order can be damaged by artificial intelligence. I can give an example about this issue. Microsoft Tay. Tay is an account name and also an artificial intelligence account developed by Microsoft on Twitter. And after the account opened the public, it shared some tweets about learning on the hashtags, this current hashtags. And the experts said that these tweets are false, not true, not reliable. So therefore, I can say it doesn't matter source of artificial intelligence or real people or real journalists like us, like you. It doesn't matter. Misinformation can easily separate all over the world in few minutes after uploading the networks.
Yeah, I think so too. And now the interesting question is, the journalistic work is very much affected from these kind of misinformations, but also when we are not talking about a professional journalism, but citizen journalism. And I would like to ask Yasin, more in the direction, first of all, the identification, what is misinformation, what is disinformation. You already gave the definitions about that. And my question is, do penalties act as a deterrent in the fight against disinformations? And are the legal issues, measures and sanctions of states sufficient according to your understanding?
Thank you for your questions, but before I want to thank Mr. Crespo because of his example was very nice. If I were a judge and if there were a case about a glass and 50% is empty and 50% is with water, I cannot decide who is the criminal or not guilty. True can be changed in these issues, but that's difficult for judgings and courts. And so, therefore, this is the most important thing in our life. And your question, if I should answer, we can take our measures to protect to this against disinformation or misinformation. But I should say legal measures, legal regulations are not enough to fight to crime. People should control themselves while using internet or reading newspaper or watching television or listening radio. It doesn't matter. We use our intelligence, our brain, and our awareness. We should. Otherwise, states' legislative powers can pass legal regulations, and they can catch the criminals and they can give punishments to them, maybe go to prison, maybe money fine. But that is not fully protectable to misinformation or disinformation. In fact, I should say misinformation is not a crime. Disinformation accept a crime in legal systems. Misinformation, I can give an example, to lie. This is not ethical, this is not permissible, and also the legal system does not accept this action for a crime. But disinformation is more dangerous than misinformation. How can we protect us? My last sentences to your question. We should control our life. In everywhere while watching television, again I said before, especially in social media. If we see a post in social media, we should control if it is true or false. With especially we should follow blue ticks accounts, official accounts, and we should control the news with different sources. For instance, I read news in a website. Don't believe directly this is true. I should be suspectful if it is true or false, and I should search on another websites, or we can call official centers with telephone, or we can email, fax, or write papers to official centers if we need. But if we shoot our potential, maybe the dangerous can reduce.
Yeah, but how can we control that? So we always have to imagine this. So not all people are higher educated, and not everybody is able to understand what is true, what is not true, and the emotion, the charisma, is maybe much more has much bigger impact on that what is believed as true than other things. Is there a need for controlling that, or and how can it be done in a way that it does not infringe certain democratic values?
Yeah. I agree with you. You are completely right. Education is the most important thing in our life. Like misinformation or struggling to crime. Maybe states, especially education official centers, give lessons to people, or since childhood we can improve ourselves with education, and this is important. Digital literacy, very important, because our age is digital age. Everybody use mobile phones, especially smart devices, and internet is very separately at our world. That's your explanation. You know better than me. I think the law cannot protect the person. Person should protect itself easily. This is easier than the legal systems. Because yes, there is a police center, police department, and we have prosecute courts, legal regulations, criminals. We have a state. We live under state. We live a public order, but it's a virtual danger. States cannot see easily, cannot control a virtual area, And internet is, World Wide Web. It is too difficult to control by the states, by countries. People should control themselves. This is via by education. Education is important. Yeah, I said before.
I would like to come now to the final statements from
Yeah.
you both, starting with Yasin maybe. I would like to know from you as a final statement, what is your understanding, what can we do to avoid misinformation during the next pandemic time?
Next pandemic time, I hope this will not never live again.
It will
But
come, I'm sure.
yeah, probably. But if it's against we live pandemic time, I think people can control themselves more than the past, because COVID-19 is the first pandemic time during the last year. Maybe I know in 19th Spanish flu, maybe SARS, maybe the other viruses, but this is the global pandemic, and this was very harmful for everybody. I can say people should follow official information center, because we saw that there were many fake news about COVID-19 during the especially forbidden and especially we were in the house. Everybody used their mobile phones. Everybody were on the internet, maybe from websites, maybe social media, and there were a very mixed information. I didn't know which one is true or which one is false. I saw a man who was used the onion for fighting the coronavirus. They were eating onions, and they believed that onions were very healthy thing to struggle coronavirus, but it didn't work. When vaccination are applied to people, coronavirus ended. We should be more controller, and we should more awareness. I can say my last sentences.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, you, and of course Mr. Crespo, and his examples very useful for me. I will use them in our lessons. Glass example was very enjoyable and very true.
The problem is, in fact, so when we think on all pandemics in the past, that the new situation of COVID-19 it was the first pandemic after the internet became mobile with help of the smartphones. No? And this is in fact a new challenge. Miguel Crespo, what do you think? How can we avoid misinformation during the next pandemic time?
Okay, so thank you very much, and I really liked your conclusions, Yasin, and I subscribe all of them. So thank
you. Yasin Aidodu, it was a very inspiring hour for me with you. Thank you very much for your very thoughtful and very interesting contributions.